Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 451 based on novel. So let's start. It turns out that it is also the spirit of flame, and it was a coincidence that it has become what it is now. Looking at the first part of the memory flashing around Xiao Yi, Yaroji finally woke up. My reincarnation seal was turned into a spiritual seal in the early days and scattered across the world, just waiting to find someone who is destined. Don't worry, this guy has my reincarnation seal, and his future achievements will be limitless. After all, Xiao Yan is just the icing on the cake. A tough self also needs strength to be established. And he himself is a holy flame embryo. Without burning the judgment, he cannot swallow two holy flames. With a wave of Yaoji's hand, a dazzling purple flame lingered out, completely dragging Xiaoyi aside, but Xiao Yang found that that kind of power was no trivial matter, and it was probably Yaoji's guidance to Xiaoyi. After all, I'm just an afterimage left behind, and I can't help you too much. By your hand and the power of the holy pattern, I can completely repair the source of the damage to the holy flame. In the future, I will depend on you. At this moment, Yaoji slowly walked towards the Xian elk. At the same time, the elk also sent out bursts of extremely gentle power to call Yaoji. Don't worry, Your Majesty, I will definitely go to the second town demon prison to rescue you. I will also reunite you with His Majesty Xiao Yan as soon as possible. Xiao Yang followed along and said plausibly, Humph. A group of masters of holy flame who are messing around with flowers, if I can solve it, I will definitely teach you a lesson. Holy King. The originally good atmosphere was made a little stiff by Xiao Yang's words. Come here, release your source of holy flame, use the source of holy flame to nourish it, and I will handle the rest. The goddess Yaoji said coldly. Obviously she had a lot of anger towards Xiao Yang. After all, it was too easy for such an unparalleled powerhouse, even if he left behind his strength, to find out the secrets of Xiao Yang. Okay. Xiao Yang hurriedly agreed, and immediately ran over with a look of helplessness, for holy flame crystals emerged together, and then gently handed over to Yaroji's majesty. How about another one? Yaroji felt the ancient and mysterious power on the 4 holy flame crystals and nodded with satisfaction, but then she wondered. That is holy flame with only half of its origin. Xiao Yang said with an ugly brow. Why don't you give it back to others? Yaroji, however, had already seen everything, so she spoke softly and calmly. Can you still give it back? When Xiao Yang heard this, he was stunned. The source of holy flame has been swallowed up by oneself. Can it be returned to others? In that case, it is forcibly deprived, and it will cause extremely serious damage to one's own origin. You didn't ask. Naturally not for you, but who am I? At this moment, Yaroji's graceful face showed a hint of pride. At this moment, Yaroji had an unparalleled appearance in the world. While speaking, the 4 holy flame crystals were suddenly condensed with 4 flame holy patterns under the control of their slender jade hands. Above the holy pattern, an ancient and obscure terrifying power quietly landed on the body of the Xian elk, and the dying purple flame suddenly burst into flames, and an even larger body of 1,000 Zhong elk emerged. The graceful lines, a very distinctive sense of beauty emerged, but on the body of this purple elk, there is a dark red evil shackle, which is firmly bound, so that it can't break free no matter what. Above that bondage, among the dark red lines floating, there were unexpectedly countless eerie mourning voices. After hearing such voices, the power in Xiao Yang's body actually felt a rare throbbing. This kind of power is definitely a foreign evil race, but why is it so tyrannical? It seems to be the strongest evil force you have ever encountered. What is this? At this time, Xiao Yang stared blankly at the dark red shackles outside Xian elk's body. From there, a genuine sense of insignificance swept over. In addition to the purest holy flame heart that can temporarily seal and suppress holy flames, the evil gods of the extraterritorial evil clan can use evil power to cover and seal the power of holy flames, but their power is only holy flames after the 10th holy flame list. You can do this. The top 10 holy flames are too terrifying, and they can't suppress them. And my holy flame happens to be in this industry. After Yaoji finished speaking, 4 holy patterns enveloped her body and slowly vacated the sky. A splendid ancient rune merged from the center of the 4 holy patterns, running through the whole world, even those who imprisoned the purple flame elk. The red shackles became slightly trembling and shattered. Sacred flame pattern fusion? What power! Seeing that Yaroji was able to control these 4 holy patterns so much, and even the fusion of the 4 holy patterns, an even more ancient power swept out. That kind of power can't be traced back at all, But Xiao Yang vaguely felt that the power that can make the dark red shackles so fearful and make his own devil cube so uneasy, that kind of power is probably the oldest power born in the world. Yaroji? A terrifying wave flickered in the center of the four holy patterns, and the dark red shackles squirmed rapidly, and a dark red phantom condensed out. There was no outline at all, and only an extremely terrifying coercion came. As soon as the dark red phantom appeared, it stepped heavily on the purple flame elk, causing this weak holy flame spirit elk to suffer endlessly, and the energy fluctuations contained in its evil shadow had already surpassed the scope of heaven and earth. In conjunction with what Yaroji just said, I am afraid that the dark red guy in front of him is the so-called evil powerhouse among the foreign evil races. The strength of the powerful kings of the evil tribes outside the realm is not as strong as this evil god. Evil god rank, what exactly is this existence? Yin zombie evil god, it's been a long time. Seeing this, Yaroji was unmoved, a faint voice swept out along with the ancient waves, and the ancient runes in front of her flashed the vast waves that wiped out all things. Strangle. The high-pitched sacred voice sounded, and suddenly this world, the wind was raging, countless holy radiances fell, the evil power on the purple elk quickly subsided, and even the dying purple flames began to grow savagely. The next time we meet, I'm afraid I won't have such good luck. Seeing Yaroji's tough wrist, the dark red figure smiled faintly, and all the power in the phantom was immediately dissipated in this world by Yaroji's means. The injury is too serious, the holy flame must be used as a guide to completely repair and heal it. After some inspection, Yaroji shook her head. Obviously, the damage of this holy flame was more powerful than she imagined. Even if the dark red shackles were driven away, it would not be able to be completely repaired. The Xian elk felt the passing away of the power of holy flame and the power of evil that had been lost for a long time, and his body became firmer, and he cried out, "Alas! Now, I'm afraid I can only abandon Xiao Guda." Xiao Yang felt a little reluctant in his heart, but after a while, he was relieved. "Senior." Seeing Goddess Yaroji's indecisive look, Xiao Yang said softly, already making up his mind. According to Xiao Yang's huge soul power, it is naturally not difficult to detect the source of the weak holy flame in front of him. This method can only be repaired by using holy flame as a guide. However, the four semisacred flames in Xiao Yang's body are likely to be lost. The palms and backs of the hands are full of flesh. No, if it goes on like this, it will probably take decades to restore its origin, and it will also require you to use the holy flame to nourish it. A rare heaviness flashed in Yaoji's beautiful eyes, looking at the purple flame elk that had returned to normal, and said, "Your Majesty, I am willing to take out the source of the ethereal ice and holy flame, which only has half of the source in my body, and repair it." Xiao Yang nodded heavily. On the palm of his hand, a pool of blue flames burned violently, and there was actually a liquid-like liquid inside. This is the seed of witchcraft. Remember to be nice to others. It's not easy for Shenyang to transform into a human being, so I can't tell who she is. Seeing this, Yaroji let out a faint sigh, and then she couldn't say much more. She twirled her slender hand and handed Xiao Yang a purple fire seed, then controlled the blue flame and approached the purple flame. In the purple fire, there is no power of flame, on the contrary, there is an invasion of the ancient power between heaven and earth. I am afraid this is some feedback from Yaoji goddess to Mu Yingying. Xiao Yang nodded heavily and accepted the purple fire seeds, but because he had just taken out half of the source of holy flame, the aura in his body became extremely chaotic. Under the burning of the four types of flames, the blue flame sank directly into the horns of the elk, and the purple flame that flickered suddenly was as bright as a bright moon. The ancient aura swept out, but the blue flame was eaten away bit by bit, and the purple flame also became a purple orn, and a solemn aura of all things crawling emerged. "All right. I'm afraid it will take some time, just a few days. In a few days, Wulu Zilingyan will completely return to its nascent state." After doing all this, Yaoji's body became extremely transparent, and she leaned back gently. Obviously, these actions consumed most of the strength of her left body. "This elk is the witch deer that was born with me at the beginning. Even if you absorb the holy flame, it will not completely dissipate. Although it has no attack power, in some poisonous places, you summon it and kill it. Come out, with the protection of antlers, you will be safe and sound. I'll leave the rest to you." At this moment, it seems that everything has been done. Yaroji suddenly looked at Xian elk with a doting face and smiled. "This kind of home is not bad. Well, this junior thanks Yaroji, Your Majesty." Xiao Yang nodded, extremely happy. Everlasting Ruler and Emperor Flamering are the representatives of the Holy King, but with the current you still can't use their full strength, so you don't need to worry about being recognized by other powerhouses. Yaoji explained to Xiao Yang. By the way, Your Majesty, what is the repair method for this ancient divine weapon? Seeing that Wulu Zilingyan slowly recovered, and would be able to return to its full posture in a few days, Xiao Yang couldn't help but ask. The everlasting ruler can be repaired into a god-killing ruler, and that kind of power can be punished by heaven and earth, but how to repair it, I am still at a loss. The repair of artifacts requires special power. In addition to the basic sub-professions such as alchemist and battle formation master, there is also a special profession that has been forgotten for countless times over the long years, the caster. Yaoji patiently explained to Xiao Yang, it seems that apart from pinch flowers, Xiao Yang's other temperaments are deeply loved by her. The caster. Xiao Yang looked at Yaoji's majesty suspiciously, as if there was something in her words. Although there are casters in Dakian world today, they put the cart before the horse. When Yaoji said this, there was a slight seriousness in the corner of her eyes. The caster in ancient times, its occupation and purpose was not to cast, but to repair. Since ancient times, the birth of an artifact requires the blessing of enormous power laws and opportunities, and so on. Behind every artifact, there are many sad stories that are hard to remember. However, after countless years of inheritance of the divine artifact, the damage was too great due to the slaughter of enemies, battles, age corrosion, etc., and the forges came into being. Love. So, if you want to complete the first step of repairing your current eternal ruler, you need to find a caster, and it must be a caster handed down from ancient times. After all, today's casters don't have any humans can repair artifacts. As for the specific route, you still need to explore on your own. After Yaoji finished speaking, she opened her mouth still, because this era was too far away from theirs, and she couldn't tell whether the casters of these ancient times were still alive. I'm afraid it's extremely difficult to find a caster who masters the art of repairing artifacts. What if you can't find it? Xiao Yang asked tremblingly. There was always a bad delusion. For something like what Her Majesty Yaoji said, I am afraid that the hope of finding it now is too slim. In that case, I'm afraid I can only wait for the Holy King to solve it himself. But the ancient ruler in your hand has become a piece of broken copper and iron. Yaoji shook her head. Obviously she was also worried about this problem, but unfortunately she has no way to deal with it now. You brat, like Sheng Yang, likes to mess around with flowers, but I think your blood is good. I hope to see you next time. You can grow up, and it's not a waste of our care. When the voice fell, Yaoji's body suddenly became illusory, shattered and disappeared here in an instant, turning into a wisp of purple light, bathing in the warmth of every grass and tree here. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Xiao Yang said respectfully, with a humble expression, clasped his fists and saluted. See you next time. I'm looking forward to it too. For some reason, Xiao Yang always felt that the next time we saw each other, I am afraid it would be the real transformation, the highlight of the Great Thousand World. Boom. The purple energy halo spread inside the Yaoji statue. It turned out to be centered on the Yaoji statue. It was like an energy ripple, and it spread gently throughout the entire elf lair. The breath of the goddess Yaoji. These two guys are really the lucky stars of our fire elves. The first elders and the others looked at this purple halo, and their hearts felt warm. The relationship between Xiao Yang and Xiao Yi was also rapidly heating up. Next, it's time to devour the Holy Flame. Holy Flame, the 10th on the Holy Flame list. I hope this time, you can let me pass the immortal fighting rank. Xiao Yang clenched his fist tightly, then looked at the Xian elk in front of him with extremely nervous eyes. The purple flames have become more and more intense, and the purple elk behind him is screaming, as if roaring at Xiao Yang. If you don't accept it at this time, when will you wait? The interior space of Yaoji statue. At this time, Xiao Yi's body was surrounded by purple flames, and the cyan radiance was intertwined, and it was beautiful. The perfect strength of the 8-star fighting immortals was also increasing at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Did this kid start coveting reincarnation because of the help of His Majesty Yaoji? Then, as the second brother, I naturally can't fall behind. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, a sense of relief appeared in his eyes, and then amber flames appeared on his body, and he walked towards the purple elk on the disc step by step. The 10th Holy Flame on the Holy Flame list has already reached a level of power that can be learned from the world. If it weren't for the help of the Majesty of Yaoji just now, and without the blessing of any auxiliary medicine pills, Xiao Yang would not dare to swallow it rashly. Shun, I am afraid that it is very likely to be burned to the ground and turned into nothingness. The Xian elk is very spiritual, although it can't speak, But in the elk beast's eyes, a gentle purple flame fades out and looks at Xiao Yang. The purple fire on the two antlers also forms the appearance of a miniature elk. Dormant on it. Xiao Yang walked step by step, his eyes fixed on the mini purple fire deer. The deer's purple flames rose, and the surrounding space became distorted and shattered, and an extremely heavy feeling rushed towards him. This thing is Wulu Zilingyan's holy flame source deer. Don't underestimate this holy flame deer. Although it is small in size, the energy contained in it, even a reincarnation-level powerhouse, would not dare to take it lightly. Dragon God transformation. Although Xiao Yang knew that success was in front of him, he did not dare to take it lightly. He took a deep breath, and the power of the Dragon King in his body began to run wildly. Pieces of blue dragon scales completely covered Xiao Yang's entire body. An extremely tyrannical, heavy breath emerged. However, even after using the dragon transformation of the Baxia Dragon King, Xiao Yang still conveyed an extremely surging fighting spirit in his body, and even the amber flames covered on the blue dragon scales trembled, the source of which was naturally the holy flame purple deer in front of him. The 10th ranked holy flame on the holy flame list has an appalling reputation. Moreover, the controller of this holy flame has always been under the crown of Yaroji. If you are accompanied by a strong person at the peak of reincarnation for a long time, that kind of power can be described as infinite. Endless. Brat. After making these preparations, Xiao Yang took a step forward, directly entering the Xian elk a few meters around, and said with a grin and excited expression. Even though Wulu Zilingyan has returned to normal now, the innate lightness and elegance still gave Xiao Yang a very strong death pressure. The power of this flame is not like the holy flame that Xiao Yang had come into contact with before. It is like an extremely ferocious flood and beast, but it is extremely gentle and well-behaved. But it was this kind of power that seemed to have no offensive power, but made Xiao Yang tremble. Under this kind of flame power, it was extremely difficult to mobilize the power in his body. Xiao Yang was only about 3 meters away from the elk, but every time he took a step, the blue dragon scales on Xiao Yang's body hummed, and even the sound of the crisp bones colliding was particularly harsh, with a soft numbness. Ziyang flowed down and invaded Xiao Yang. I want to torture me just for this, but it's too far. A loud dragon roar murmured and roared away from Xiao Yang's mouth with scarlet eyes. At that time, in this space, those forces actually shook. Seeing Xiao Yang's appearance, Energy Zilu seemed extremely puzzled, so he jumped off the elk slightly and came to Xiao Yang's arm. Tear it off. The holy flame purple deer jumped on Xiao Yang's arm, a terrifying force that had never been seen before, like a fierce cold wind, deeply stinging Xiao Yang's nerves. The heart-wrenching pain was no less than 10,000. The sword penetrates the soul, and the body and spirit are shock. Whoa! At the same time, Zhengu Ruler and Di Yenjie emitted a slightly soft golden halo, as if to appease Shenyang Zilu's violent emotions, which greatly reduced Xiao Yang's pressure. Thanks. Xiao Yang's heart warmed slightly, but he was more convinced of the relationship between the Holy King and Yaroji's crown. Immediately, the blue dragon scales burst out on the palm of his hand, and waves of ancient and heavy Dragon King spirit emerged. He raised his palm tremblingly, and suddenly said, leaning forward, he instantly grabbed the holy flame purple deer. Boom! Xiao Yang's palm just touched the holy flame purple deer. On the latter's body, hot purple flames burst out in an instant, the void was distorted, and a tingling aura of destruction emerged from the scalp. Even Xiao Yang's on the arm, the blue dragon scales melted rapidly, as if it would be completely shattered at any time. The path I've traveled, the options are not comparable to this level. Xiao Yang was unmoved, his palms did not loosen in the slightest because of this terrifying power, but a more surging force came out, squeezed even tighter, the cyan dragon scales and amber flames shone brightly, resisting together. Crazy attack of purple flames. Sweat dripped down like raindrops in a steady stream, and the violent ups and downs of breathing became more rapid, and a trace of bright red blood infiltrated from Xiao Yang's skin, which was already covered by cyan dragon scales and amber flames. A power as tyrannical as the two can't resist the attack of this holy flame. At this moment, a rare frightening fear actually occupied Xiao Yang's mind. No, this holy flame is probably noisy with the witchcraft power of the goddess Yaoji. Otherwise, with the power of the Dragon King and Amber Flame, it would be impossible. I can't mess myself up. Flaming Cauldron. Soul power. Xiao Yang was restless for a while. After a while, he actually became quiet, trying to maintain the flow of power over his body, and then confronted the holy flame Zilu. When Shenyang Zilu saw this, the huge power slowly became docile, but the terrifying coercion did not show any signs of weakening. Feng Ju, turn it around for me. Devouring. The horrific torture emanated from Xiao Yang's limbs and even the nerves of his soul. Xiao Yang held the source of holy flame tightly, and his mad low roar erupted like the most primitive beast. I believe other people have cause and effect, but I don't believe in my own reincarnation. My reincarnation, I still need to write it myself. For a time, the entire space was crumbling, and the purple flames slowly began to merge with the amber flames under Xiao Yang's full strength. Weird surge. The strength soared because of swallowing the holy flame, but that strength is neither reincarnation nor comparable to 8-star fighting immortals. Because of that kind of obscure energy fluctuations, there is a most prepared title in the world. Humans call it quasi-reincarnation. As time passed, it was close to 2 years. Since the evil thoughts in the elves' lair have completely fallen, the elders and other fire elves who have been close to it have left here one after another, and in the realm of the Sea of the Sky, the power of the elves has become unprecedentedly tyrannical. After some preparations, Xiao Yi and Xiao Yang did not rashly alert them because of their retreat. However, because of Xiao Yang, the fire elf and the various races of the elves held a high-level meeting and decided to form a friendship with the Endless Fire territory. The two forces have also negotiated a lot in secret, and the relationship can be said to be extremely strong now. In the second wooden house of the ancient elf tree, there are many strong people, such as the elder Eliza, the princess Qian, the little Irina, and so on. After a year of seclusion, Xiao Yi successfully stepped into the peak of the reincarnation rank, and it was just around the corner to advance to the first rank. She withdrew safely from the Yaoji statue, but Xiao Yang did not make any movement. Now that she has passed a year, still so, if it wasn't for Xiao Yi and Xiao Yang having some subtle feelings, I really thought that something went wrong with this guy. In the room, there is a light pattern formation in the center, which is obviously used to connect the elves' lair. Once Xiao Yang leaves the customs, he will be directly teleported here. Second brother, it's been 2 years. Today's Xiao Yi has a rare arrogance on her handsome cheeks. Obviously, the position of the elf clan's patriarch has been firmly established. The perception of the reincarnation seal in his body has also become more thorough, and even the embryo of the holy flame has turned into a very violent brown flame under the guidance of the goddess Yaoji and the power of reincarnation. The elves call this flame the elf source fire, which is used to symbolize and commemorate this catastrophe. The power of this brown flame is extremely terrifying. When it grows up, it will be enough to compete with the holy flame, which ranks about 15th on the holy flame list. Higher. After all, this holy flame formed by swallowing countless different fires is too rare and rare. Yaoji Xian's power is extremely huge. I don't know if the second brother will be able to step into reincarnation with this. Lena, who was beside her, blinked her eyes and said immediately, I see it hard. The reason why Xiao Yi was able to completely enter the peak of reincarnation, rather than quasi-reincarnation, is because of the guidance of the goddess Yaoji, and Xiao Yang is a human after all, and is essentially different from our elves. Stepping into reincarnation requires a kind of a very mysterious reincarnation. The first elder Eliza shook her head and said, she couldn't be more clear about this kind of thing. Just as everyone was talking, the light formation in front of them suddenly surged, and a slender figure stepped out step by step. At the same time, an extremely gentle aura swept out like the rising sun. Xiao Yang. Second brother? Looking at the figure in front of him, several people present spoke one after another, and it was difficult to conceal a touch of ecstasy and envy in their voices. What the elder said is very true, the reincarnation is still a little short. Xiao Yang laughed heartily, then shook his head. After swallowing Wulu's purple spiritual flame, the holy flames were still noisy with the mysterious witchcraft power of the goddess Yaoji, and then he fused the 4 holy flames as the core, and created a new kind of magic. New holy flame. Soul Shaman's Heart Fire. It is a new flame that combines 5 holy flames. Wulu Zilingyan ranked 10th, Immortal Flame ranked 17th, Immortal Flame ranked 18th, Ghostface Soul Flame ranked 24th, and Huashin Tianyanayan ranked 35th. I lost half of the ethereal ice flames, but because of this, I got a complete fusion of 5 holy flames. Now the power of the new flames is already comparable to some holy flames ranked 9th and 8th. Even that Fen Ju, who had been stagnant, actually broke through to the category of intermediate-level immortal art for the first time in the world, which is of great benefit to Xiao Yang's cultivation. Is it a quasi-reincarnation stage? It was also expected. The great elder's beautiful eyes fell on Xiao Yang. Seeing through the latter's strength at a glance, he immediately nodded and said, Senior has good eyesight, but this junior is still unclear about something. Xiao Yang spoke softly. What you want to ask, is it a matter of reincarnation? By virtue of the mystery of Fen Ju, you devoured the holy flame that merged with the goddess Yaoji, and you clearly have the power to impact the true reincarnation, but why is your strength only quasi-reincarnation? The first elder looked at Xiao Yang with a smile, as if he had expected it long ago. That is indeed the problem. Xiao Yang nodded, and then focused his attention on the great elder. Saint Flame, ranked 10th on the Saint Flame list, is enough to make him rise directly from the middle stage of the 8-star Dozyan to the real samsara, but why every time he mobilizes that power to attack the samsara barrier, there is always a sense of melancholy. It seems that there is something missing in my body, just like when he broke through Do-Di in Dochi continent. It only took 2 years, otherwise Xiao Yang would have left the border long ago. In your body, there is less reincarnation. So you can't achieve true reincarnation. The first elder pretended to be mysterious, and when he mentioned the word reincarnation, the decibel of his voice actually increased a lot. What is reincarnation? Xiao Yang asked in a somewhat obscure way. Although our elves are not much different from humans, reincarnation is much different. Your reincarnation, you still need to find it yourself. The Great Elder had no choice but to shake his head for no reason. Well, thank you, Great Elder. Xiao Yang nodded, knowing that this kind of thing can't be rushed, but with his current self, I am afraid that only relying on strength and flames, in the first reincarnation level, there should be an invincible existence. In addition to the evolution of Fenju, Saint Mark, the control of his own power can be described as unprecedentedly powerful. It's been 2 years, the plane meeting is about to start, and there's still half the time. I'm afraid I have to leave, Xiao Yang said after talking with Xiao Yi and the others. By the way, Great Elder, do you know the Smiths of ancient times? Seemingly remembering something, Xiao Yang suddenly patted his head and said with a grin. A caster from ancient times? It's a bit hard to find, but if you insist on looking for it, there should be a place that will suit you very well. The Spatial Intelligence Sales Building is a gathering place for countless intelligences related to the entire world. As long as you have enough financial resources, you can buy the information you need. Where did we know about your identity and news? At this time, Second Elder Ma Lin stepped out and said to Xiao Yang. Then it's not too late, let's go now. When Xiao Yang heard the words, he understood that it was urgent to repair the God Execution Ruler, and he immediately wanted to leave. Xiao Yi, you can go with Xiao Yang's friend. You are still inexperienced, and before the catastrophe comes, you still need a good trial. Let's go. A rare smile appeared on the big elder's cheek, and then he raised his palm, and incomparably mysterious lines emerged, breaking through the void in one fell swoop and sending the two inside. Ma Lin, Yarrow old ghost. Rectify our entire space in the Sea of Heaven, and wait for the return of Little Yi's Elf King's experience, and the official sacrament of kingship. Our elves have been silent for so long, and it's time to get out of this space. After all, the Second World War is not far away from the start of the war. Yes, the Space Intelligence Sales Building is stationed in a very strange space in the Great Thousand World. There are many monsters here, monsters and ghosts are everywhere, and there are countless powerful creatures, but it is in this special void that there is a magnificent building that is nearly 1,000 meters tall. It has always stood at the peak of this void, standing still. Around the building, one after another majestic lines like the brush of the gods lingered out, and their protection was tightly stitched together. Atmospheric, magnificent, at a glance, you can tell that it comes from the most powerful hand. No matter how arrogant and domineering the monsters in this void are, they don't dare to cause trouble in the Intelligence Sales Building, because the family that controls this huge building is a well-known family in the world. Castle family. The Castle family is a super family known for its bloodliness. Not only is the family directly affiliated with terrifying strength, but even the number of vassal children has spread throughout the Great Thousand World. Everywhere in the Great Thousand World, there are people who are assigned by their family. Intelligence spy. Their family stipulates that all vassals who try to join the family will be thrown into a specific training ground for life and death training every time they are assessed. Or enter the territory of the evil race outside the territory to seek information, or enter some places where there is no life and death, and experience any fierceness. In that kind of training ground, only those who survived can be recognized by the family as vassals, and when they enjoy countless conveniences, they are also hidden in the dark and become the real sharp edge of the Castle family. In this family, the law of the jungle has been the greatest manifestation, and countless people want to join it, so the population of this family is extremely large, although most of them are only collateral vassals, and the real decision-making power and management the power is still in the hands of the core members of the family, but it is inevitable that the family is huge. Angus, one of the 4 sons of the current patriarch of the Castle family, ranked second. The eldest died unfortunately in the life and death experience. The third and fourth were stupid by nature. As for the other guys, it was because they guarded some things passed down from ancient times. As well as the reason for the 2 intelligence buildings, and several times of bad relations with the foreign evil clan, his younger brother and sister covered his death in the battle of life and death, and only a small part of the clan survived. Taking over the intelligence sales building, whether it is strength or status, is enough to rank in the entire Great Thousand World. The Castle family, Angus, has long since become a representative figure of this family, but his age is only a few hundred years old now. With that kind of strength and method, many strong people can only surrender quietly. Second brother, there is an information sales building in front, but we need to prepare enough money or equivalent exchange items. After all, some too confidential information, this family will not easily reveal it. That exchange of chips is extremely heavy, and it is said that the current controller of this intelligent sales building is a man with a broken arm. He has 2 special attributes of wind and thunder. Even some reincarnation powerhouses must be treated respectfully. On the outer square of the Space Intelligence Sales Building, here is the space-time wormhole built by the Castle family with the power of reincarnation. Countless strong people in the world can come here through special methods to buy the information they need. Of course, the premise is that you have enough chips. The 2 of Xiao Yi traveled through the time-space wormhole and came to this square in an instant. The square was so huge, and the sparkling ground was actually swept by strange energy fluctuations, which was obviously quite extraordinary. Looking up and looking at this building not far away, I just realized that this guy is huge and stretches for thousands of miles. The size is staggering. At first glance, it turns out to be dizzying. These pedestrians are as small as ants. It seems that the strength of this family should not be underestimated. The few subtle fluctuations in this building may be comparable to the strength of the Great Elder, or even a few breaths. Even the Great Elder cannot match it. Xiao Yang nodded, and immediately followed Xiao Yi, walking towards the exit of the square, preparing to go towards the entrance of the sales building. This time was running out. Xiao Yang didn't have much time to waste. With more than 2 years left, he must collect the medicinal herbs that devoured the third holy flame, and successfully refine it. In addition to the imminent need to repair the ruler of the gods, and the search for reincarnation by himself, these 3 things are pressing on Xiao Yang's mind like a mountain, and it is urgent. 2. Welcome to our Castle family intelligence sales building. Just as Xiao Yang and the others were just walking around and were about to leave the space plaza, an old man with a loving face slowly stepped out and came to Xiao Yang and the 2. Sir, what are you? Xiao Yang stopped Xiao Yi, then stopped and asked, although this guy is not hostile, he always makes him feel a little malicious. It should be the first time for the 2 friends to come to us, right? We have a lot of complicated rules here. The old man's name is Rise, and he is specially responsible for guiding the newcomers and taking the lead in pulling everything familiar here. Looking at him, he said with a smile on his face. If that's the case, then there is Mr. Lao. Xiao Yang nodded, then waved to Xiao Yi, the 2 of them followed, and the 3 of them immediately walked towards the sales building. Stop. This thing behind you came here? Who are you? And just when Xiao Yang and the 3 were about to turn around and leave, a cold snort burst out at Xiao Yang from the faraway square. Along the way, it turned into a grey sword shadow, as bright as a sky full of stars, and whistled away directly at Xiao Yang. Crack. Faced with this level of attack, Xiao Yang suddenly turned his head, raised his finger abruptly, and a dark blue flame danced around his fingertip, instantly crushing this level of attack away. How can it be? Looking at this scene, a voice of exclamation came out. Reincarnation. Xiao Yang looked at the sound, and immediately saw a man of the same age as him, looking at him with a very strange look, the ancient ruler on his back. The green shirt, the thin body, the obscure face seems to be mixed with some kind of special emotion, and even the scabbard behind him hums and shakes, and the surging fighting spirit permeates. At this time the ancient ruler that Xiao Yang was carrying on his back also seemed to be called by some kind of call, and it started buzzing together. What's happening here? Xiao Yang was a little stunned, as if he could smell an extremely hot wave from above the ancient ruler. Li Tianxiao, this is the place of our castle family, you should be more restrained. Elder Rise's face changed drastically, and he said coldly, Boy, who are you? Why do you have such a strange ruler? Tell me your future history. Li Tianxiao, however, seemed to have not heard Rise's warning, and walked towards Xiao Yang step by step, the whole body buzzing in the void, and there seemed to be endless sword shadows emerging. Agitated above. How? Don't you need to verify your identity when you come here to buy information? Your Excellency, do you think so? However, Xiao Yang ignored this guy and just turned his head to look at a dark shadow hidden in the void in the distance. With the perception of his own soul, plus what Xiao Yi said just now, I am afraid that the guy behind him is the real owner of the current intelligence sales building. This video will end here.